What's happening, guys? So, Summer Game Fest was a few days ago, but it wasn't just the main event that happened. Developers have their own showcases all the time now, and I didn't just watch the main event with Jeff Keighley that happened on June 8th. I watched them all up until last night. Was it a waste of my time? Debatable. Probably. Yes. But I wrote down a list of everything that caught my attention, and I typed it down and printed it out. Like I have my own 3-page long sheet. Yeah, that's right. I'm a sophisticated motherfucker. We're gonna start off in the main event. Um, there were so many games these past few days that I saw. Most of them, though, didn't really caught my eye, so I'm only going to be talking about things that, kind of got my attention. Either it made me really excited or made me go, huh, that's different. Starting with the main event, Mortal Kombat 1 is obviously the big thing here for me. I think it looks fucking fantastic. All the character models, the graphics, just the animations all look next gen. It looks unbelievable. One of my personal favorite Mortal Kombat characters is coming back, and that's Kenshi. He made his debut, I think it was Deadly Alliance. And he's coming back. He's the one who's got the blindfold, he's got the katana, he does telekinesis, kind of like Ermac. I fucking love Kenshi. That really made me excited right there. When I saw Kenshi, I'm like, oh my god, I need this. And apparently, Jean Claude Van Damme is gonna be Johnny Cage, which is weird. I think it's because Johnny Cage was originally inspired by Jean Claude Van Damme. I think they mentioned that. It was like Bloodsport or something. They mentioned it. And he's finally going to be the voice of Johnny Cage, even though he's like 60 years old. Whatever. I mean, if he can do it justice, then fine. I'm not a big Jean Claude Van Damme fan, but we'll see how that turns out. There was a Street Fighter Exoprimal crossover thing. I'm not excited for Exoprimal, but when I saw this, I'm like, what is Capcom smoking? I want some. And then we got Nicolas Cage, who came out of nowhere to reveal that he's gonna be in Dead by Daylight as a playable survivor. Never played Dead by Daylight, so I don't know anything about that. I know it's like asymmetric multiplayer. Nicolas Cage, what is there to say? The man is off his gourd. He's always all over the place. You either love him or you hate him. I love him and I hate him at the same time. Remnant 2, the sequel to that third-person shooter Souls-like I tried to play a few years ago but I couldn't get into. Hopefully it's better than the first one, but I'm not really counting on it. It doesn't really look that interesting, but keep my eye out in case in case it gets really good reviews. There is a modern 2D Sonic coming called Sonic Superstars. And I want to keep a lookout on that too, because I much prefer 2D Sonic over the 3D Sonic. I grew up on 2D Sonic in the Genesis, Sonic the Hedgehog 2 was awesome. Lies of P, it's kind of like Bloodborne, except you play as Pinocchio. I'm actually kind of interested in this. They just dropped a demo of it a couple days ago on PS5 and Xbox, so I'm probably going to want to play a demo of that, see if I like it before I decide to buy it. It is coming on Game Pass, so maybe I'll buy a monthly Game Pass for that game. Alan Wake 2 looks great, but it does look to be more of like a Resident Evil clone than the first Alan Wake game. And I'm not sure if that's going to be a good thing or a bad thing. Hopefully a good thing, because if there's one thing that the first Alan Wake game didn't really do great was the combat, where you just shined lights on enemies and shit. Alan Wake 2 looks much more expansive than just that. And hopefully it's really scary too, you know. There was something that did not look good though, and John Carpenter is involved. Why? I love John Carpenter. John Carpenter is like my all-time favorite horror director. He's like one of my favorite directors of the 80s. But this zombie shooter called Toxic Commando, it looks like utter crap. It doesn't look anything like something John Carpenter would greenlight. It looks bad. Again, I don't really know anything about it. All I know is John Carpenter's involved. When I saw John Carpenter's name, I'm like, holy shit. And then I saw that reveal, I'm like, holy shit. You know? um, so, stay tuned for that one, but, yeah, I wouldn't get my hopes up on Toxic Commando. It's like Toxic Avenger. It's like, what? Even the title is, like, just cringe. Bad. We got more Spider-Man 2 gameplay. It's a PS5 exclusive, kind of like how the first one was for PS4 back in the day. It got an October 25 release date, same day as Alone in the Dark, which I might be getting instead for Halloween special purposes. It looks great. I really loved the first one. I never got around to Miles Morales. I heard it wasn't as good. It was a little too short, whatever. Hopefully this will be really, really good. Um, Game of the Year contender good, you know? Final Fantasy VII After Crisis. Now this is one that is confusing to me. Because it almost looks like a classic remaster of the original Final Fantasy VII with modern graphics, kind of. Only question I have is, and this is a big question, is this a spin-off? Or is that an actual, like, remaster with the same story? I have no idea. I'm gonna have to look into more of it. But I'm a big fan of Final Fantasy VII. They did reveal Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, the second chapter in the remakes of Final Fantasy VII. Looks amazing. It looks more open. You get to explore the world. It comes early 2024. Wouldn't surprise me if it gets pushed back, though, because if it's gonna be as big as it looks, I want it to at least come out great and polished. It's gonna come on 2 discs, which is weird for PS5. You know, I mean, it was weird for PS4, but it's like really weird for PS5. Like what? Or you could just play it digitally, have a massive 100 gigabyte game on your hard drive. It's probably gonna be 100 gigabytes no matter what. They'll probably have like an install disc, right, and then have like the play disc. Like a Dragon is getting 2 new games, not just one, but 2. The Man Who Lost His Name and Infinite Wealth. Here's where I call it Milk the Dragon, because that's what they're doing. I'm not one to judge. I've never really got into the series. I mean, I have most of the games. I just never got around to them, at least not yet. I don't know. All I know is they're pumping out way too many of these games, man, to the point where like I can't keep track of all of it. You know, they got the Yakuza games, they got the Judgment spin-offs, and then they got the Like a Dragon games. It's just like, kind of makes me wish I never bought any of those games to begin with, because I just don't have the time, you know. Maybe one of these days when I make a dent in my backlog, maybe I'll get the Like a Dragon games. I actually, yeah, I got the first Like a Dragon. I actually have them all, except for the new Like a Dragon Ishin, that came out earlier this year. Okay, so there's like fucking 4 Like a Dragon games now. Unbelievable. Stop it. In other news, the last game that they showed in the main event. This is gonna be a long video, by the way. This is gonna be like an hour-long talking video, or maybe like at least a half hour long of me talking. But the final game on the main event that I'm looking forward to is called Immortals of Avium. It looks like a cross between Doom and BioShock. It's got the art direction of BioShock with kind of like the combat of Doom, but it also has some fantasy elements like in Hexen or Elder Scrolls. Really good blending of those elements, and it looks pretty interesting. Immortals of Avium. I need to see more of it, but I am interested in seeing more. So, and that was the main event. Overall, it was good. I'd probably rate it about the same as the PlayStation Showcase. And now on to Day of the Devs. This was immediately after the main event. I think I'm getting sick. They showed a game called Hyper Light Breaker. Sounds familiar, right? Hyper Light Drifter. This is gonna be like an open world 3D. I guess in like a sequel to Drifter, or maybe like a spiritual successor. I don't know. I'm interested in knowing more. There's a lot of games that were shown during these last few days that like I felt like I didn't get enough information out of them. There is this really cool looking puzzle game I saw called Viewfinder where you take like a photo, right? And you kind of match it with like a barricade and like you kind of like remove that barricade by like matching up a photo. It looks really awesome. It kind of reminds me of Portal, where you can like manipulate the environment that way. It looks really really cool. Like this is one of the games that like I really want to have on my wish list is Viewfinder. It just looks new, it looks unique, it looks original. And that's something we desperately need more of in gaming. We need more interesting ideas, and Viewfinder looks like a puzzle game that I might really, really like. We got more of that Hellscape game. It's like the roguelike Tony Hawk kind of game, but with demons. Looks pretty cool. Not as cool as Viewfinder, but it looks fun. I love Tony Hawk. You know, I grew up with Tony Hawk, and that's pretty much it for Day of the Devs, though. They weren't anywhere near as big as the main event, of course, but they were at least better than the event that came immediately after. Devolver Digital was a joke. It was literally a joke. I don't mean that in the sense that it was pathetic, which it also was, but it was a joke. It wasn't a showcase, it was a troll case. Um, they started off with like a documentary of this mascot that it was the biggest, most popular mascot in the history of gaming. And it was some mascot called Volvi. I've never heard or seen it before. I'm assuming it's a parody. It's got to be a fucking parody. Because Devolver Digital, they're not big. They're not a big developer. They're not Nintendo. They're not Sony. They're not fucking Microsoft with Master Chief. Like, no. And and then it started taking like a thriller, scary horror turn, where like the showcase started turning into like this weird thing where like the AI Volvi was turning against them, and like they were showing like little showcases like between here and there, but like it was completely overshadowed by this weird mockumentary parody thriller thing they were going for. It wasn't even funny though. It was just like, okay, like I mean, I see what you're doing, but like I'm here to look at games being announced. I'm not here to look at like a movie to see like misplaced talent. Like if you have talent in this area, don't do video games, just make comedy. That was literally the Devolver Digital showcase. Thankfully, it didn't last that long, but my God, man, have some respect for your viewers, man. Come on, don't troll us like that. It literally just ended with like the creator of Volvi taking like a computer screen and it had like this really like creepy like camera angle where it shows him like looking down at the camera, and then he smashes the computer down on the camera, which is Volva, you know, and then it just ends like a cheesy horror flick. Like, no, come on, guys, stop being immature. Show us games. Be proud of your work. Don't mock yourselves. Whatever. I'm sure plenty of people found it entertaining, but I just found it stupid. The Wholesome Direct wasn't that good. There were way too many gardening and farming indie games that just all looked way too similar and identical to each other. The only game that caught my eye at the Wholesome Direct was a game called Everdeep Aurora. It looks like an old school Zelda game, like on the Game Boy. Only you play as a cat. And I I think I've always preferred the top-down Zeldas over the 3D Zeldas. So Everdeep Aurora might be a game that I'm interested in. It'd be cool if it came out on like Nintendo Switch. You know, that'd be kind of like a special moment for, for old Nintendo fans who want more of like that retro style Zelda game, you know. The Future Game Show was also pretty unimpressive. It felt more like a retro game show. It did have a 2D Souls-like called The Last Faith. I don't really know anything about it. It seems really gothic. There's a beta coming this summer. I wouldn't mind playing it. I love Souls likes, or at least I love From Software. I mean, there's plenty of Souls likes out there, but a lot of them that aren't made by From Software are complete crap. But if they can get the difficulty down, and if they can get the 2D Metroidvania style thing going, I'd be interested in The Last Faith. There was more Lords of the Fallen gameplay. Again, like I said, a lot of these wannabe Souls games kind of fail, in my opinion, where they don't really fully capture what makes From Software's games special. And I hated Lords of the Fallen. I didn't get that far into it, but I thought it was way too clunky and just way too slow. Hopefully, Lords of the Fallen, the new one, it's not Lords of the Fallen 2, it's just called Lords of the Fallen. So it's like a reboot of the original. Hopefully, it turns out better, but I'm not getting my hopes up for it, honestly. Moving Out 2, again, hopefully it's better than Moving Out 1 that I played on Game Pass a couple years ago that I did not like. I thought it was more frustrating than fun. The physics were very against you. But yeah, hopefully Moving Out 2 is better than Moving Out 1. Daymare 1994 Sandcastle, same thing. Hopefully it's better than Daymare 1998. I tried playing Daymare 1998 and I couldn't really get into it. I thought it was a very poor man's Resident Evil. Hopefully 1994, assuming it's a prequel, but gameplay-wise should be a sequel. I mean, it shouldn't be as bad. It should be better. But if I do play that one, I'm gonna wanna at least push myself through 1998 first. Lastly, they did show one thing, and it's one thing that looked really incredible, but at the same time, it's one thing that I was familiar with, and that was a game called Unrecord. Unrecord is this insanely realistic looking police raid game where or like a police breach. You know how police like breach and SWAT teams, they breach homes and stuff, drug dealers and stuff. And the way the camera shifts when you aim your gun, it looks like a VR game, but it's somehow not. And like every time I look at it, I'm like, holy crap, like this looks like body cam footage that cops use. I hope that when this game comes out, it blows everyone away. I hope it doesn't flop. It looks fucking great. I want to play this so badly on record. Um, it just I don't know how they're gonna make it work though. Like when you you move your camera using your aiming reticule. So it's just like, how is it that you're aiming in one direction while the camera moves another, and you have to move at the same time? It's just like, are there like three analog sticks? what what gives? It doesn't make sense to me, but hopefully it will when it gets closer to release. So that was the Future Game Show. Underwhelming except for Unrecord, but we've seen that before. That was shown at least a month before in other events. And now we're on to the Xbox Starfield showcase, where they kind of combined the Xbox showcase with their in-depth look into Starfield, which does look really good. I'm not really that excited for it, only because I don't trust Bethesda anymore, man. Fallout 76 killed my trust in Bethesda, but it looks good, and hopefully it stays that way. You know what I mean? But until I play it for myself, I'm keeping an open mind. I'm trying to walk a fine line between optimism and skepticism. With Starfield, I did watch the Starfield Direct afterwards, and I mean everything looks fine. It looks good. Um, I just hope it doesn't become repetitive with all its planet exploring, because I'm honestly not a big fan of space exploration games, with the exception of like Mass Effect, but that's a little different. That's not like sandbox, it's more linear. Whereas Starfield, it's like you get to go wherever you want. Good luck. I don't want to be overwhelmed with like 1,000 planets to explore and then have most of them just be like empty or bland or uninteresting or unimportant. But yeah, they revealed the new Fable. You guys remember Fable, don't you? You know, that RPG series back in the 360 that was like simultaneously good and bad at the same time. Those games were like, they had like really mundane, generic ass combat, but it had some like RPG customizable elements that were like really ahead of their time at the same time. It was just Fable, it's like a love-hate series for me, I love it, but I don't really love playing them. It's not Fable 4, it's just called Fable. Like, come on, man. Just call it Fable 4. I hate these. Just they're reusing the original titles. Just use Fable 4. Same thing with Forza Motorsport, which comes out October 10th. I'm gonna want to play. It's not Forza Motorsport 8. It's just Forza Motorsport, not to be confused with Forza Motorsport on the original Xbox, the first one. This is just Forza Motorsport on Xbox Series X. Showed Payday 2.5. I'm sorry, I meant to say Payday 3. Never got into those games, but I just decided to throw it out there just because I know a few people who really like Payday. It looks too much like Payday 2 to me. It doesn't really look like an evolution of Payday. The way that Payday 2 looked compared to Payday 1, there's not really that change. Persona 3 Reload. I've been noticing that like almost every Persona game is like branching out to Xbox, which is cool. It gives a much broader audience of players. But I have no idea what Reload is. Is this supposed to be a remake of Persona 3? Is it supposed to be a spin-off? Or is it supposed to be a sequel to Persona 3, kind of like Persona 5 Strikers is to Persona 5? Lots of confusion here. Man. They did show a trailer for Hellblade 2 finally. I'm interested in Hellblade 2. Hellblade 1 is like my favorite game of 2017. It has a lot to live up to though for me. Like Hellblade 1, I held up on a really high pedestal, man. I thought it was like a work of art. I thought it was a real good artistic representation of mental illness, and I would hate for Hellblade 2 to just be a rehash of that, which unfortunately looks to be the case. The trailer didn't really give it justice. The trailer was really drawn out, a little on the boring side. Hopefully they introduce something unique, like new characters that represent different mental illnesses in themselves. Who knows? We still don't know when it's coming out, but Hellblade 2 visually it looks phenomenal. The facial animations, the voice acting, all that stuff looks to be 10 out of 10 material, like the first game. So I'm definitely gonna want it. I'm definitely gonna want an Xbox Series X at that point if I won't have it already by then. So Infinite Wealth, I already mentioned Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, but they did show off a really funny ass trailer of him showing up like naked on a beach. And people being like, hey, streaker, put some clothes on. There's some other guys like, yeah, surf's up, dude. Like, he's like, what the hell? Where am I? Like, so he comes to America. He's got no clothes on. He's on a beach. It's pretty funny. My mind was lost though. I don't know what the hell's going on with that. There's more Fallout 76 on the way. Atlantic City. Please don't give me more reasons to reinstall that trash, man. I have a feeling I'm gonna go back to that game. Oh my god, dude, I hate Fallout 76, but they always give me some weird reason out of like morbid curiosity to check out the latest update. Be like, okay, what did they change this time? And half the time, they didn't change anything at all. I mean, the gameplay wise is still the same old shitty Fallout 76, just with more places to visit. At this point, I don't think we're ever going to see an Elder Scrolls 6, man. Because, like, they got more Elder Scrolls Online coming, Necrom, and another expansion. They got more Fallout 76 content coming, so no more Fallout 5, It's just like, they're just monopolizing off of their live service games. I really truly believe we might never see Fallout 5 or Elder Scrolls 6 in this lifetime. Maybe like 200 years from now when we're developing terraforming on Mars. Then they might have a new game for us that isn't Starfield. Yeah, Starfield. I mean, it looks great. It looks great if you're into that sort of thing. And I think that's my problem is I'm not really into like space exploration. I'm actually not really into big open world games anymore. Cyberpunk 2077 has a new DLC coming September 26th. It's called Phantom Liberty. Will it be enough to convince me to go back to that game? We will see. I mean, maybe if I play the PS5 upgrade, maybe it'll be a good game. I honestly haven't. I still have it. It's that yellow case up there. Right there. I have it in alphabetical. I still have Cyberpunk. I'm sorry. It's that yellow one right there in the right there. I still have Cyberpunk. The only reason why I haven't gotten rid of it is that it's only like you'd only get like $1 trade for it. It's like dirt cheap now, and plus they wouldn't take in consideration of all like the extra physical stuff I have, like the art book. I wouldn't get anything extra out of it. So, I might as well just keep it. I'll play the PS5 upgrade at some point before I die of old age, or suicide, or car accident. Whatever. City Skylines 2 is a city building simulator, kind of like SimCity. And when I looked at it, it really brought me back to those special warm days of my childhood, making little cities in SimCity 2000 on the PlayStation 1. I was obsessed with that game as a kid. I didn't even know how to play it. I was just making buildings and schools and hospitals and shit. I didn't know how to actually properly play it, but when I saw Skylines 2, I've never played the first one. And I don't know if I have it with PS Plus. If I do, I might want to download it and play it. Because it really, looking at it, it was like, oh my god, man. I miss SimCity. I miss the old SimCity. You know what I mean? Like the one on Super Nintendo and the one on PC and PlayStation. The first two SimCities, anyway. I just miss them. So that got my attention. And last but not least, they revealed a 1 terabyte Xbox Series S that you can pre-order. It comes out late August, I think. Now they're going for $349, and I'm on the fence. I actually do want one, especially when we get games like Starfield and Forza and Hellblade and Fable all coming out. Hopefully within the next year. And that right there is giving me reason to buy like a Game Pass machine, Series S, because I already have a PS5 that I can play most new third-party games on. But like having a little Xbox Series S is something that I'm getting more and more interested in. Now for 349, it's a little steep, even for 1 terabyte. I feel like at this point they should reduce the price of the regular Series S to like 249 or maybe even 199, and then introduce the 1 terabyte for 299 instead of 349. I feel like for 349 I could get like a really nice bundle with a regular Series S, bundled with a new game or maybe like a Game Pass subscription. The price is a little steep, but I do want one. It would be nice to have. To have a 1 terabyte Series S. That sounds great. Um, come on, turn the page. Ugh. We're at the last page. We're getting near the end, finally. We got the PC Gaming Show. This was an absolute drag. The Xbox Gaming Show was good. I liked it. PC Gaming Show, I did not. There were a few things that kind of caught my eye, but you got to keep in mind there were 4 things that I remembered to jot down, and it lasted over 2 hours long. So, out of those 2 hours, there was like 15 or maybe 20 minutes tops of me actually looking at something that I was enjoying. The rest were just, I don't even remember. I just remember almost falling asleep. There were a couple Metroidvanias. There was one called Altered Alma, a kind of like space opera cyberpunk. I mean, they are overdoing Metroidvanias a little bit, but I don't mind playing them. I did try playing Axiom Verge 2 recently, and I despised it. I couldn't get very far into it. I hated Axiom Verge 2. But apart from that, I don't mind Metroidvanias. Now, here's an interesting Metroidvania, though, that they also revealed. It's one based on A Christmas Carol called Ebenezer and the Invisible World. You go around just jumping as Ebenezer, and you gain new abilities like turning into mist. I assume you inherit them from the ghosts that visit you. I love A Christmas Carol. It's probably like my favorite Christmas story. And I love Metroidvania. So having the cross between the two is like, it's like, okay, what the hell were these geniuses smoking? And like when is this coming out? Is this coming out like near Christmas time? It should. It's a Christmas game. It'd make no sense for them to release this game in like March or something. It's got to come out either like November or December of either this year or the next year. But I'm really interested. Like, color me like a Christmas Carol game where you get to fight shit. Like, it's not even a visual novel either. It's like an actual game where you like kick ass as Ebenezer. Like, whatever. I'll play it. And then you got Miasma Chronicles. Now, I wasn't interested in this until I saw gameplay. And until I noticed that the combat system was turn-based, kind of like XCOM and Wasteland, and I love those. I love those so much. So Miasma Chronicles, kind of like Baldur's Gate 3 is looking. I'm really interested in that as well. And lastly, My Friendly Neighborhood. Now, similar to A Christmas Carol, this is a concept that I find very unusual. It's a shooter where you shoot Muppets. Like the Jim Henson Muppets, like, you know, Kermit and, you know, Miss Piggy and stuff. It looks like a horror game almost, but like, you know, kind of like Slender or Outlast, except you're shooting Muppets that come after you. Okay, time to take the smoke pipe away. You know, because these guys be smoking something hard. I must be smoking shit weed compared to these guys, man. Holy crap. And that's it for the PC gaming show, man. It was just it was a drag. Anyway, on to Ubisoft. One thing I hate about Ubisoft now, or Ubisoft, is it Ubisoft? It must be, because when they have a Ubisoft original splattered on all their new fucking titles, which I'll get to really soon, it only makes sense that you pronounce it U, because it wouldn't be it can't be a Ubisoft original. Like it can't end and start with vowels. It's got to be a Ubisoft original. And if it was un Ubisoft original, it'd be un Ubisoft original. Oh my god. Maybe I should be an English teacher. If this is how stupid people are writing, I'll be an English teacher to save future generations from being fucking this illiterate. But I'm just gonna assume that it's a Ubisoft original. Now, a Ubisoft original is right up there with a Hideo Kojima game where it just reeks of self-indulgence, like reeks of arrogance, especially when you're a company who does nothing but milk out generic open world collectible busy work simulators where you just go here and climb this viewpoint and then go there and collect this treasure chest, and it's like that for fucking 40 hours straight. Then yeah, that's totally original. I guess they want this trend where they're turning into Netflix or Amazon. They're an Amazon original, a Netflix original, a Ubisoft original. This belongs to us. We did this. This is our work. Only we can do games like this. Open world games. Only we do it this well. We're Ubisoft. Fuck you, man. I fucking hate Ubisoft, man. Ever since they killed Splinter Cell, I fucking hated them. Which, by the way, of course, there was no Splinter Cell announcement at all. Um, I think they did announce that they're remaking the original, and they're probably going to turn it into an open world game where Sam Fisher climbs shit and, you know, collects data like Watch Dogs, you know, another trademark title from the legendary Ubisoft. No Splinter Cell, I don't care. I don't care. Like the new Avatar game. I mean, it looks okay, but I'm not a fan of Avatar, so it doesn't really affect me. You know, Prince of Persia, I never really got into Prince of Persia. Although maybe if this new 2D one is like, I think is it the Lost Crown? Is that what it's called? If it's a new 2D Metroidvania, maybe I'll be interested in getting it on sale. They showed more in-depth gameplay of that as well. But like I said, not a big Prince of Persia fan. There is a new Division game coming out called The Division Resurgence. But wasn't there supposed to be a free-to-play one coming called Heartland? What happened to that one? Unless they're just renaming it to Resurgence. Like, guys, are you forgetting your own games in development? Like, maybe listen to your fans every once in a while, you know? There's more Assassin's Creed coming. We haven't had one in a couple years, so I guess it's okay. You know, I don't mind them doing like one Assassin's Creed game like every 3 years, you know. Assassin's Creed Mirage, it looks decent. It looks like a good return to form. You know, they're ditching the RPG crap from the last three games, and they're making it more to the roots of Assassin's Creed. So that it should satisfy longtime fans. I'm gonna get it at some point. It's only $50. Maybe if I'm lucky, I'll find it at Black Friday for like $30. But you know, it's one of those games where like it's not gonna win any awards. It's gonna get like 7.5s or 8s. You know, it's gonna be a decent Assassin's Creed game, but nothing you haven't already played. If you've already played an Assassin's Creed game, that's why I don't like Ubisoft. Like their franchises are always rehashes. You know, like Far Cry 7 is gonna be the same as fucking Far Cry 3. They haven't announced Far Cry 7, but when they do, it's going to be the same as Far Cry 3. There is a VR Assassin's Creed called Assassin's Creed Nexus. Now this, on the other hand, I am kind of interested and terrified of at the same time, because I have an immense fear of heights. Okay, and it's a parkour game, and like having like being able to like leap off like 200-foot buildings and land in like a tiny barrel of hay. Like that's something I'm probably not going to want to experience in VR. That sounds really nauseating. And you know, I once in a while I'll see videos of people on TikTok or whatever. They're like stunt performers. They're thrill seekers, and they'll like deliberately hang off skyscrapers with like no fucking harnesses, and like it's so nauseating. It makes me dizzy just looking at that. I I don't think I want to play a VR version of Assassin's Creed, but it is cool. It is cool, but and it's definitely worth mentioning. As a matter of fact, it's probably the best thing about this whole showcase was them showing VR Assassin's Creed. And lastly, we have Star Wars Outlaws, and this has to be the worst thing I've ever fucking seen over the past few days. It looks so painfully generic. It looks so boring. The stealth is so. The stealth just doesn't look great. There's choppy frame rate. It was a real horrible presentation. And it looks like shit. Star Wars Outlaws looks like crap. It looks even worse than Jedi Survivor, the one that came out a couple months ago. It had bad performance issues, but at least the gameplay was still kind of cool, you know. This just looks like straight ass dog water, man. Yeah, Ubisoft. Oh, let's just call it the fucking purple pimple swirl, because that's what their logo looks like. It's like a swirl of pus with blood. That's the Ubisoft logo right there. They used to be a rainbow logo. Maybe they should go back to that. You know, the whole LGN style thing would definitely be better suited for their current games. Lastly, we had the Capcom showcase, which was just as abysmal. It was a 30-minute long thing. There wasn't any new RE4 Ada DLC that I was looking forward to. We have no news on that at all. We have no news that RE4 might get more DLC. And that sucks because that's my favorite game of the year. And I want more of it. And they didn't give me more. What they are giving me more, though, is Dragon's Dogma. And Dragon's Dogma 2, it doesn't look great. It looks like Dragon's Dogma 1.5. It still has like frame rate dips whenever you hit an enemy. Like whenever you damage an enemy, for some reason like the frame will freeze. And that's something that Dragon's Dogma 1 did as well. And you know what? I don't care, because I love Dragon's Dogma 1 enough to not mind a Dragon's Dogma 1.5. You know? I embrace it, man. I embrace that game with all its faults. It's like Two Worlds, you know? Like, where's Two Worlds 3? Like, it's like the best bad game, you know? I mean, no, Dragon's Dogma is a good game. It's not bad like Two World. It's good, but it was heavily flawed in some aspects, like technical issues and stuff. But I can't wait for Dragon's Dogma 2, man. That might be a day one buy for me. They had a Capcom town. It's like this 40th anniversary. They're celebrating their 40th anniversary as a company, which is cool. I I thought they were a little bit older than that though. I thought they were like 45. I thought they started in like the late 70s, but okay, maybe 1983 is when they started. And it's like this little digital town we get to explore and play their older games like Final Fight and, old Street Fighter and stuff, I guess. And that's pretty cool. But that's all they really showed that I'm interested in. The thing about Capcom, the thing I hate about Capcom is that I'm a huge fan of Capcom. But that's only because I only play Capcom franchises that I like. You know what I mean? So like I love Resident Evil, I love Street Fighter. I did love Onimusha, but that was only in the PS2 era. They never made another one, which was another game that I was hoping that they could like revive in the showcase. Like if they made an Onimusha 5 reveal, man, oh my god, dude, I would shit my pants. Or even if they just remastered Onimusha 2 like they did with 1, just basic port, I'd be happy with that. Because Onimusha 2 is like my favorite in that series and one of my favorite PS2 games. But anyway, I only play Capcom series that I enjoy, that I'm interested in. So, for every Capcom franchise out there that I like, there's one I don't care about. Like, I like Resident Evil, Street Fighter, Devil May Cry, I suppose, is pretty cool, you know, and stuff I don't like Monster Hunter and Mega Man and like Dino Crisis, I don't really care for. So, Capcom, I love them, right? Like they make quality games to this day. It's just a lot of their franchises are franchises I'm not really into. They got a new Mega Man, or at least more Mega Man content coming. I don't care. They didn't even show any Monster Hunter, which I wouldn't have cared regardless. But I know a lot of people were looking forward to more Monster Hunter. So it was a really big disappointment all around. Overall, in conclusion to this whole 3-page thing I printed out, um, overall it was an okay event, showcase, whatever non E3 thing you want to call it, because E3 just isn't a thing anymore. Every major company has their own showcase now. And that used to be what E3 was. They would have like a day for PlayStation, a day for Xbox, and a day for Nintendo, and maybe like a day for like Konami or Capcom or something. But they don't anymore. So this is what we get. It was okay overall. There were a few good showcases, and there were a few really bad or underwhelming showcases. So I guess it all evens out to an overall okay time. But I could have spent my time playing more Street Fighter 6, which I got last week. And there's a review coming your way. So, yeah, stay tuned for that. And I should actually also have a Final Fantasy 16 review coming in July. So, yeah, more reviews coming your way. And let me know what you think. What games are you excited for that were shown at non E3? I will just call it non E3. Anyway, guys, yeah, let me know in the comments down below. And as always, stay tuned for reviews. And thank you for watching.
The Gamer Gods!